knowledge, it has tentacles into every subject. So okay.
You have a acknowledgement on the chat, Deb.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, that was good.
5376U2E। बेटा अपना नाम तो बता दो, इतना सीक्रेट क्यों रखा है आपने? Yeah.
Right.
And Deb,
Yes.
today we might have some new viewers, maybe some of them, because I
Okay.
mentioned this in the class today. It was a very interesting
Okay.
conversation. We are teaching population growth, migration issues, problems of racial conflicts in history. So
Yeah.
I told them to attend today's session. So if maybe first few minutes we can tell them about this approach, and I mentioned Socrates method. So
Yeah.
if we can quickly update all of them, okay, I think that will be nice. Oh, hi, Amit. Yes, Amit, I agree with your comment. Dave is fabulous with that analysis of his annihilation of caste by Ambedkar.
I
So,
love doing it. I love doing it, Amit. Yes, Kevin, good evening. Mohammad Afzal Khan, good evening. I think we have Akash on our Zoom, Shabir. So if you can elevate Akash, I think today's session is going to be fun because not just we're not going to just talk about article and do the Socratic inquiry which we have been doing, but we will discuss something that is related so much to current affairs, and current affairs which is of significant importance to the world. Kaushik, very good to see you on our Zoom. Talking is permitted, so enjoy your session.
so for the benefit of all our
Thank you so
viewers
much,
on the
sir.
YouTube, yeah, Yogashik, yeah, thanks. So this session is actually a part of an essays program. We run an essays program, which is part recorded, part live sessions through these Zoom sessions. And we have enrolled students with us. The enrolled students, we have this session every week. And sometimes when we think it's of critical importance, we also go live on the YouTube. So Kaushik and Akash are on our dashboard. We'll talk to them, and happy to have you with us again, Kevin, Amit, Afzal Khan, I think the usual suspects. Hi, Hemant. And any of you who are from today's geography optional class, I'd insisted ki join karo, because uh, see, to be very honest, essays writing is not about writing. It's about thinking. It's about probing what's going around us. It's about questioning and developing your own thoughts around issues. Okay, so in that context, they were telling us it'll be a nice, interesting size. Uh, some of you may have joined for the first time, and hope it'll be an important and interesting learning for all of you. Yeah, Dave, I'm sorry I interjected. I just thought I'll
No,
initiate the
that's
process. Yeah.
good. Yeah, thanks for initiating, and to everybody, let us get on with it. Let me share my screen. I think what Shabbir and I will do is let's to get the creative juices flowing, to get your brain working in the right way. Let's discuss. We all always start with keywords, right? What do you think about? So we are obviously talking about the war that's going on, and I think, like everything else, um, we always do critical thinking, right? I think that is our objective. We always do critical thinking. Whatever comes in front of us, we try to critically examine that, and we will use Socratic inquiry, and we'll talk about the method a little bit. Um, and this time I have chosen something that Pratap Bhanu Mehta wrote, I think a couple of weeks back. It was Indian Express or Times of India, one of the editorials, Shabir. that I picked it up, and he's talked about the morality of war, and he's talked about how the war is a spectacle. It's a very unique article, and there is not just condensation of current affairs, but there is a lot of moral philosophical angles that he has gone into. So I thought that would be a good one to do. Shabbir, I know this must be coming up in classes also. This is such a huge topic that's going on.
Oh,
I don't
yes. I don't think
know.
there's anybody in the world who is not talking about this.
Yeah,
And the sad part, Dave, you know what? I think everybody, 100% of them, know what's going on. We might
yeah.
justify it, whatever we want to justify it, and you can pick your side. Okay. But everybody knows what's going on, what is the agenda here, and how this is actually you know what, I mean, a naked, blatant show of power. But like you said, this article is interesting because it gives us very logical plus a very powerful way of writing. I don't know if guys, if you know this man, Pratap Bhanu Mehta. He has been he's been extraordinary. You should go back and check his credentials. Like a very, very well-read, erudite, a journalist. His writing has power. He takes on the institutions. Uh, People have called him names, whatever, including anti-national. He's a professor, visiting professor. He teaches. Uh, and you must dig out more articles of by him. Okay. So yes, Dave, I agree. This is something we all have been talking about, but the way he argues is very different from what otherwise we talk.
Yeah, and his credentials, like you said, are exemplary. Oxford, I think he's a professor in Princeton University. He also has taught at Harvard. So he's clearly one of the leading intellectuals of our generation in India. So I think something has to be said about it. So I think critically examining the article is one thing we'll do today. The other thing is also critically analyze what's going on in the world. In terms of the war, what is the ramification of the war, morally, economically, politically. I think we'll all discuss that, whatever the time permits. And I hope that we give you enough points to discuss and formulate your own thought process. Okay, one thing I do not want us to do today is take sides, because that will be just playing into the propaganda. We will not do that, but we will critically analyze the topic. So, Shabbir, what I thought will be useful is take a look at some of the keywords that come to mind. That often come in essays, that often come in other things like IR, for example, or even in economics, political science, and ethics, other subjects. And here's a list. This is not a exhaustive list, but this is my list of things that popped into my mind. Okay, what is this war all about? Populism and hyper nationalism, right?
Yeah.
We That is just the order of the day, happening everywhere in each of the countries that is participating. Protectionism, to a large extent, that started with the tariff war, and all kinds of protectionism all over the world. We are talking, and several intellectuals are talking about a new world order. So, a retreat of globalization, a multipolar world. I think people were talking about that since a long time, but now it is emerging how this is going to unfold, right? So people are not clear how the new multipolar world, this seems like a pivotal point in that. um, Genocide, of course, starting with what we have seen in Gaza and what we are seeing in other places, ethnic cleansing, Zionism. I wrote Zionism in here, um, and we'll refrain from taking sides, as I said, but I put it in here because my, experience, Shabbir, is that all the interviews I took this year, of mock interviews of UPSC aspirants, and I asked most of them about Israel Palestine, and I went into Zionism. Very few of them actually knew the word Zionism, what it was. So I think a lot of discussions are going on. I feel like you guys must know what it is. Definitely look it up and trace the origins of conflict. I think any conflict you got to see where it's coming from. So that's one. Neo-imperialism. A lot of people are talking about neo-imperialism that America has been engaging in, as they say, that this is the new way of controlling the world, indulging extortion. Um, and I think President Trump clearly said in many tweets and rants that whoever wins will take the spoils, right? So that clearly
The
sort
oil
of,
is ours.
yeah, exactly. So that neo-imperialism also plays in. Asymmetric warfare, everyone of us has heard this, and what it means, who has won the war. It's not military might, but overall. And then rules-based order versus rule by power. Shabir, I don't know if there was something else that jumped out at you as things. Kaushik, Akash, you guys also chime in. YouTube crowd, provide your thought process. But I thought it will be good to present this and then get our creative juices flowing.
एक टेक्निकल वर्ड है, something called as freedom of navigation. I mean, you can always at least refer to it. Freedom of navigation is about whether Hormuz should be policed or Hormuz, is it somebody's territory? Okay, so this also is talked about.
Yeah.
And you've added asymmetric warfare. I think that includes technology also. So, ठीक है, role of technology. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you want to add the word regime? I find it funny actually.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know what that means in some ways. I tried doing some work, but interesting word. Whenever we talk about Iran, it's a regime. Nobody says
Yeah.
government. Nobody says the leadership. It's always regime change,
Yeah.
decapitation, and interesting. Yeah.
Regime is the word of the day. Okay, so we'll give this word of the day. Okay, perfect. So, okay, perfect. Kaushik, any thoughts? Akash, any thoughts? Did we miss something conceptually? Amit says regime change. Yes, of course.
The word regime always comes with regime change.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, keep engaging with us. I think there's something in chat. Let me see. Role of China, Akash says. Oh yeah, so emergence of other powers, right? So which is sort of, I would say, the multipolar
New world order. So
new world order.
you
Yeah.
mentioned that already. Retreat of globalization, but yes, new world order, multilateral, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I think let's jump in and see what Pratap Bhanu Mehta is saying, and then we'll come back and do our Socratic inquiry, right? So you all have, um, done this before. What is the claim or thesis of the author? Has he clarified the definition? Is the argument logical? Are there some assumption, counter arguments, and finally we'll evaluate.
Dave,
Okay.
we can spend a few minutes on this. So there
Yeah,
are
sure.
new viewers. If you can explain what is the Socratic inquiry, or we can discuss then we can enter into the article, I think.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So, yeah, my thoughts. And, what Socrates did was introduce the concept of inquiry, right? So, the whole idea, and there is no set framework that this is exactly the sequence of questions that you should ask to do Socratic inquiry or anything like that. This is something that we put together to help do critical analysis of essays or write-ups, articles or things like that. But basically what Socrates did is he used to ask questions, and his questions would often start with, okay, what is your thesis, what is your core argument? Okay, so if you are making a point, first I need to understand your core argument. Then systematically he used to peel the onion and get deeper and deeper. How do we get deeper and deeper into an argument? First is establish what the argument stands on, right? So what the argument stands on is its definitions. So if, for example, Pratap Bhanu Mehta is saying, war is waged as a spectacle. We have devised new strategies of moral evasion. Okay, so he's talking about war, he's talking about spectacle, he's talking about moral evasion. So there are some things that he means by these terms. What is the meaning, right? So definitions is what the argument stands on. Then I think, as we'll discover when we read through it, his arguments flow in a certain direction. Now, you imagine a lawyer arguing the case in court. They would start somewhere, then they'll go somewhere next, and they'll slowly develop their case and they get to the end. So, is there a logical flow of arguments, or are you just throwing data or throwing some reasons left and right without actually forming a coherent argument? So when the argument doesn't have a logical flow, obviously that's a concern, and that's will make you think that is something missing here, right? So logical flow. And Shabbir and I talk about the essay canvas in our course, the storyboarding, the orchestrating part of your essay. That is why I said always say write 4 to 5 arguments and then put them in order. Okay, so there should be a logical flow in your writing. Then has the author made some assumptions? Sometimes you all write arguments and they seem like it is forced, or it is not unique, or it is not authentic, it's not deep enough. These kind of doubts come, right? This is typically because you are making certain assumptions and you're taking a side quickly. So we'll have to evaluate that. Okay, I see that argument is logical, but does the argument make certain assumptions? Right? Is it backed by data? Is it citing the right sources? That's why we always say examples illustrate an argument, and use the examples as illustrations, not argument themselves. And then obviously we have to have some counter argument to explain that we have our position is neutral, and I have seen this, or our position is objective, sorry, not neutral. And I'll come to that. Shabbir, I'll welcome your thoughts also, that we have taken into account other dimensions and other perspectives. It's not a one-sided view of the world. So there is difference between, and I'll write here one thing, objectivity versus neutrality. Okay, so this is like almost like a class, guys. So follow along, ask questions. Kevin, Amit, Ashish, Mohammad Afzal, absolutely, ask doubts whenever it comes to your mind. Kaushik, Akash, you guys too. Objectivity and neutrality. lot of people think that being neutral is the way to go. And then that means that I should do 50% pros and 50% cons. I should explore all dimensions and go away. But there is difference between this and being objective. Sometimes the truth is not 50-50. The truth is 80-20. We talk about balance in essays, right? So objectivity versus neutrality is a key point in journalism. So journalists are supposed to be objective. They may not be neutral, because if they see that, for example, exploitation of citizens is happening by government somewhere, they should not say, oh, government was right, but then citizens are also right, and then provide a neutral perspective. They have to, sometimes we use the word, call a spade a spade. That means being objective, but at the same time providing a clear picture of truth. Shabbir, your thoughts?
Yes, so basically, Socratic inquiry is a format using which you can analyze, you can evaluate anything. So the struggle that we have, how to read newspapers, how to form opinion, how to develop critical thinking, how to ensure that we have actually dived deeper into some idea. So this is a very nice step-by-step approach, a kind of a format, a kind of a canvas, using which you can understand a topic better and go beyond the obvious written words. These questions help you, think about an article. Today's class, yesterday we had a session on population growth, and all our lives we have heard India has large population, India has population explosion, India must control the numbers, and suddenly we find that India's TFR is a very good measure of how fast we are growing or will grow in the future. TFR of India is less than 2, 1.9. And the TFR of some of the southern states is as low as 1.4, 1.5, equivalent to West European countries. So just month of March, May, Chandrababu Naidu in Andhra Pradesh launched a policy, or he has made a draft policy, where they're going to incentivize families to have a third child. Okay, incentivize through cash benefits. एक article था. So I asked students, पढ़ के बताओ, what do you think about it? Okay. And what happened? The article was there and they had opinion, okay, but they're struggling कि अच्छा article को पढ़ा कैसे जाए? How to challenge it? How to think about it? Okay, so if you do not have a format, फिर वो article बस आप पढ़ लेते हो. Okay, you just read an article, that's all. But the depth you require, probably these formats will provide you with. Yeah, Deb, I think they've got the sense, more or less.
One more thing somebody told me in the channel, Telegram channel, is, sir, whatever I read, I get influenced by it. I read Nietzsche, I get influence. I read Sartre, I get influence. I read an article, I get influence. So I said, it's good. That means you are being open to ideas. That's number one. But what comes after openness is also some amount of analysis and critical thinking ability. And this is what Socratic inquiry will give you. So, brilliant tool, use it, ask questions, and then see the real truth emerge. Kaushik, your point about adding something on Iran being significantly smaller, able to resist US. Yeah, that is asymmetric warfare, isn't it? Like, I am smaller, I'm a mouse in front of an eagle, and how should what is a win for me here? Right? A win for me is not, killing the eagle, but maybe surviving and running away. So,
I read something, Deb. Iran wins by not losing,
yeah,
and US loses by not winning.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We get
Odds
into
are
this.
stacked. Okay, let's do it. Let's do some reading. The article, it starts how it starts. Let's see. When U.S. Secretary of War. By the way, do you guys know that the actual word is Secretary of
Defense.
Defense, but he changed it to Secretary of War, which tells you something. Pete Hegseth spoke of causing death and destruction from the sky all day long in Iran. It was not simply an aggressive summon to havoc or an apocalyptic prophecy. Intentionally or not, it was a reminder of the utter global moral void of the moment. So he clearly outlines his thesis in the first para itself. This is what all good writings do, all good essays do. That's why Shabbir and I always tell you in introduction, yeah, make it flowery, make it this, make it that, tell a story. A lot of you have told us that, sir, can I tell a story? Sir, maybe the essay should start with a story. You do whatever you want, but the thesis should be there. Okay, that is number one requirement. All wars are terrible, but the Israel US Iran war, perhaps more than most, seems to have been unleashed with the sole objective of perpetuating its own fury. That means the goal of the war is nothing but to perpetuate war. This war exists to achieve no aim. It is not a war to conquer or liberate. Even granting it the purpose of weakening Iran is granting it too much dignity. Its real aim is simply the continuation of its own violence. And the war is about performance. So I think this word performance has, you know, found new meaning in the social media world generation, right? Performative pity, performative happiness, performative war, in this case performance of power, right? That's what it is.
In
The
fact, you
narrative.
wrote that down there
Yeah,
as a spectacle.
spectacle.
You have used that word, I think, in our keywords. Did you? I thought I saw it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is the title.
It's from here. Okay. Yes. Spectacle and performative actions. Okay. Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, it's like a social media post. Okay, an expression of power rather than an instrument for rational purposes. We all know that power exists, or military power exists, for a lot of stories we have been told that it is for deterrence, it is for peace, it is for to protect the border. But here, that there is no rational purpose. If it has a purpose, it is only this: to test the next generation of technology, missiles, AI, targeting systems, cyber warfare. This is something that you must also know: military industrial complex. Have you all heard of this term? Military industrial complex. Um, this is an important word. See, the keywords I wanted to mention because these kinds of things will actually get you better marks, or these are scoring points. Okay, if you use these, the examiner, evaluator will know, yes, this person knows a lot. So that's why I'm noting them down.
I will add one thing. You
Yeah.
see, one of the mistakes I think or misses that students do is that when they read an article, they're always looking for facts, or they're looking for some takeaway in terms of some insight maybe. You
Yeah.
miss out on expressions, language. You miss out on how the idea has been conveyed. So if you sit and read this, there's just these two paragraphs. There are beautiful expressions. Words like perpetuating its own fury,
Yeah.
simply the continuation of its own violence. Okay. good English is not always using a big word. It's also using smart expressions. वही word मैं भी use करता word cyber warfare. Okay, वही word ये भी use कर रहे हैं. But the way he is using it. So keep noting that also. That there is a way how things are written where they sound like you have a better depth and understanding. Okay. Yeah, please continue.
And I'll read on. That is why the questions we are asking about this war miss the point. So, what are the questions we are asking? Did we learn the lessons of Iraq? Was there a plan for the day after? Why does the stated objective keep shifting? This is, you must have heard, Trump first said something, then he course corrected, he said something else, and every day it has been changing. Is it denuclearization, regime change, or the breakup of Iran? What can air power alone achieve? Did you anticipate that Iran would climb the escalatory ladder and try to impose severe economic costs on its neighbors? These questions presume that the war has coherent purposes. Again, a good word to use, coherent purpose. But the modus operandi of the Trump administration has been the nihilistic display of power. You all have used the word nihilism before. We have seen it in so many ways. But look at how he uses that, right? Nihilistic display. That means a display of power that does not take into account any moral, religious grounding, because there is no such thing as, being moral, being religious. There's no purpose in life. That is nihilistic display of power. So, power for power's sake. Shifting from one theater to another. It will break every international law imaginable and flout hard-won precedents, assassinating heads of state, sinking defenseless ships, returning from goodwill missions without warning. This is what happened to the ship Iranian ship that was sunk after it was coming from a goodwill mission with India. The list will go on. The response will simply be the nihilistic version of that immortal line. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay? So, basically, he uses an expression here that trivializes the whole situation and the depth of the impact of that, from humanity to economics. You might have heard this in our country too. Many people say, okay, frankly, I don't care because it's happening somewhere else. मेरे को सिलेंडर मिले तो ठीक है, बस काम खत्म. Right?
By the way, just trivia, curio, whatever you call it, this statement, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, is an immortal line from one of the most famous movies, Gone with the Wind. Okay, it's a movie of a romance of a different kind. And when the hero ultimately gives up, see, he walks out on his wife who was manipulative. The last scene, ka last sentence hai. He puts on a cap and says, frankly, dear, my dear, okay, I don't give a damn. That's why I say it's the immortal line here. There's a context to...
Yeah.
There's a trivia here. Gone with the Wind. Okay. Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh, I think.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up, Shabbir. See, this is where reading, watching movies, enhances your perspective. Okay. So, great example. And I always feel like, when you have these kinds of varied tastes and you read books and you watch movies, good movies, and not propaganda movies, then you get a deeper understanding of life, and that makes your life even more fulfilling, right? Because you understand life in a very deeper way. Okay. Overweening nihilism of American and Israeli military power will strike anywhere and anytime with impunity. Impunity is a word I've been hearing a lot in the recent weeks. It's a good word. Look it up. I know we always say English language doesn't matter that much, and frankly, it doesn't matter that much in essay writing. But in
It
some
matters.
cases, language enhances your. No doubt, it enhances your writing. So definitely look this up. And the more you use such language, you will make mistakes and then you will get better. So absolutely look that up. It met its counterpart in the nihilism of desperation embodied by the Iranian regime. The US and Iran, have to put it mildly, a complicated history. Iran became vulnerable in the way countries often do when they became object of excessive American attention, responded by cultivating proxies, pursuing a nuclear program, and presenting itself as an ideological vanguard. Shabbir, I'll put you on the spot again. Explain the word vanguard to the students. What does ideological vanguard mean here? It's a wonderful. I thought this whole piece from here down was a wonderful piece of writing.
Yeah, so fundamentally, okay, we are the word vanguard in a very simple term basically means a type of a guard or a defense in front. Yeah, I mean, it's what you pose yourself as when you are fighting back. You pose yourself as when you're trying to defend something. Okay, so जो ideology था और है rather ईरान का, it is around this idea, okay, that its nuclear program is for its protection, that its entire research and development is for its own sovereignty, and it was kind of projecting is Sara Kuch as a part of, okay, a way to resist or fight back, okay, whenever it is threatened. So in that context, I mean, they one point talking about this thing here, you'll realize how I think across narratives we have seen, people suddenly are more open to what Iran has been doing. Okay, for much of my IR reading, for much of my geopolitical analysis, we always read Iran is the a bad boy. Iran is, I mean, they use the word of George Bush. He said it's part of the axis of evil, and that
Yeah.
Iran is regressive. It is, and God knows what all things they have said. But suddenly you'll find that there are people who now see a lot of reason and they see a lot of justification in whatever Iran has been doing. Okay, so it's like suddenly Iran is proven to be right. Okay, suddenly Iran is like it chose the right thing. It was their foresight probably. Okay, because of which they are doing what they are doing. So ये जो concept of ideological vanguard है, it's like something like you can say a type of a group, a political group, a type of a political ideology, okay, that it projects itself as trying to do something because it was always threatened.
Yep. Yeah. And two other things I would add to that, Shabir. And this kind of analysis is very important because we are not here, like I said, to take sides, but think of it. A lot of people think, well, let me ask you, the revolution of Islamic revolution of 1979, was it good or bad? Okay, if you ask questions like that, you will always have a wrong answer because you will fall into the trap of taking sides and saying, oh, it was good or bad. The point is that the regime, I'm using the word, before the Ayatollahs was itself pretty bad. And, if you have witnessed what happened in, for example, Russian Revolution, right? So take a leaf out of the history book and analyze this. If you see Russian Revolution, we had the Tsars, and then came the Bolsheviks, and the Tsars had a different kind of oppression, and the Bolsheviks eventually led to Stalin, and it is greatly very lucidly described in Animal Farm, the book George Orwell wrote.
Orwell, yes.
Simply the rulers changed, but the people's plight remained the same. Okay, so if you look at Iran, same way, or you look at America, I think everyone has dark side and good side and bad side. Okay, and there's a lot of people. Noam Chomsky, one of the leading philosophers of our time, he is credited to saying that the biggest terrorist state of the world is the US. So that's his perspective. So I think take a critical view before you jump and say that all Jews are bad, or all Iran is a country that wages warfare. Shabbir, this begs the question. I saw a BBC documentary, okay, and this is a reflection of mine. I saw a BBC documentary where they're covering the war, and they covered 15 minutes of the war updates. Then the next 20 minutes of the program was pointed out or was pointedly describing the state of people within Iran, the state of women, their rights. So it went to a completely different angle. And I was applying Socratic inquiry to this documentary. And I was questioning what is the narrative or the thesis that BBC is trying to present. Okay, so it's a very unique point, because you may disagree with what the country does with its citizens, but is it your role to go set it right, and at what cost? Another, I think probably one of the leaders, maybe the Spanish leader or somebody, said that let the Iranians choose what they want. So I think the moral superiority we get sometimes out of cherry picking facts should go away, and we should have a critical view of, okay, nothing is good or bad. They are good or bad, both at the same time. So I think we should look at that perspective. Let me read on. I think there was a little bit of a detour, but regime was politically odious, he says, but it also converted its defensiveness and insecurity into a nihilism of its own. In retrospect, what is striking about Iran's strategy of survival is that it too failed to calibrate the ends and means. Okay, so by reacting in whatever way it's doing, yes, it is able to survive, but at what cost to the rest of the world? Okay, now a lot of people also sympathize with the GCC nations, but if you look at the GCC nations, they always complain about the fact that they're the victim in this war, but they're strangely silent about the side they have taken, right? So I think the two perspectives have to be balanced. After Hamas's brutal attack on Israel, Iran turned out to be a power with all bark and little bite. For all its sound and fury, a country with the simulacrum of defense. Nice word, let's look it up. Iran, it appears, was the perfect target, not because it posed an imminent threat, but because it was incapable of posing much of one at all. Its performative bluff had long been called out. He is responding to the skirmish that happened post, it was kind of almost all-out war, Israel versus Hamas. Iran, got in. But he's saying that Iran also engaged in performative display of power, and its sound and fury was all bark and little bite. Good expression. Thought, Shabir?
Basically, I think it's commenting on, uh, see, this is, I think, a foregone conclusion that Hamas attacked Israel in that infamous October 7, October 8, and Hamas could not have done that without some kind of support, some kind of logistics from Iran. And when Hamas attacked, okay, basically the question Bhanupata Mehta is asking, did Iran anticipate how Israel will retaliate? Or it was another one of those bravado, ya kar dete hain, dekha jayega jo hoga. Okay, so this thing that neither in the present war where Israel and US, when they attacked Iran, they did not know what will happen after that. Similarly, when even Iran was supporting Hamas in attacking Israel, even they did not think what will happen after that. That's why we're saying Bhanupata Mehta is evaluating it in a very, very neutral way. He is not taking a side. He says, yes, the regime was odious. The regime was repulsive. The regime definitely was perpetuating atrocities. Okay. At the same time, the regime also did not anticipate the consequence of supporting Hamas and attacking Israel. So that there is some, okay, there's a responsibility both the party have to acknowledge and own up. Yeah, Dev.
Yeah. So it's a war of power that the US wished to wage did not need a reason. They only needed a pretext. Iran simply provided it. Iran has now responded in a final act of desperation by trying to raise the cost of war by drawing the rest of the world into the conflict. It has embraced the desperate version of, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. So I think this is a good rhetorical device here to state something and return back to it. Okay, so this is good writing because, imagine you said something in argument 2, and then in argument 4, one of the side things also relates to argument 2. So you kind of come back and say, look, I told you in argument 2, this is what it is. And therefore, I have proved it again while talking about something else. This is a remarkable uh, sort of clarity of thought, and the storyboarding that's happening here is truly one of a kind. So see how he connected the two pieces. He's like, okay, one thing is the nihilism of US and Israel, and assassinating heads of state, sinking defenseless ships, etc. And this is their response. I don't give a damn. And Iran has also done the same thing. So he's taken a very neutral position here. And then there is the rest of the world with its own paralytic version of the same refrain. The one word I would like to add to our list of things, Shabbir, is strategic autonomy. I think we have heard this a lot from our own leaders about strategic autonomy, which is another way of saying, I frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. So,
I read this morning. Okay, while we parade strategic autonomy, okay, Pakistan is kind of dealing with China, dealing with Iran, dealing with Israel, with US, and they called it as strategic ambiguity.
yeah.
So there's another spin to that.
Okay. So our own version, our own words, but that's what it means. The moral stunting of current crop of the world leaders is astonishing. Actually, I completely agree with this assessment. Keir Starmer, Macron, Merz exude confusion about their stand on the war is like watching children trip over themselves. Yes, I'll help US. No, I'll not help US. I'll give my base for defense. Iran is not doing the right thing. So they're going all over the place, but they're not taking a clear.
No, but two countries stand out there, Spain and
Yeah,
Italy.
absolutely, yes.
Okay. They really stand out, and they are actually they're less powerful. Okay, so they are they have been exemplary. Yeah. The rest of
Yeah,
EU, of
yeah, I
course.
think, and the Spanish Prime Minister, I think he wrote that I will not applaud the players who come with the bucket of water after lighting the fire. So he said that in a tweet. So, he's been pretty steadfast. Gulf monarchies are hardly better. Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Zayed in the UAE, after years of senseless proxy wars from Sudan to Yemen, have left their regimes ideologically hollow. Their mixture of ingratiating themselves with the West while clamping down on their own civil societies since the Arab Spring has produced leaders who no longer know what they stand for. This is a this is a very strong criticism of the Gulf countries, and I think you must look this entire thing up. You must look up Arab Springs. Today we don't have time, but was a lot of controversy in Qatar, for example, when the football World Cup happened, about how they use foreign labor. Their clamping down of civil society, as they call it, their freedom of press, a lot of these things are in question. So, your evaluation of Gulf countries and how they operate, some of these monarchies, you should do that, another day. But this is a great thing to deep dive on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi does know better. Now it comes to India. This war has revealed the degree to which India has become a supplicant to the American demands. If one believes that Modi's embrace of Netanyahu or India's tongue tied silence has anything to do with protecting the Indian diaspora in the Gulf, one is simply in denial about the various or vacuous reorientation of India's foreign policy. Vacuous reorientation. Okay, so he's saying it's operating in vacuum. It is so we use the word strategic autonomy. Clearly a critique of the government. Now, whether you agree, disagree, but form a informed opinion about what it is. Okay, don't be shy of, like I said, calling a spade a spade. Form your opinion. Why India is silent? India has been silent. Some people may call it strategic reason, but what is the strategic reason? We must go beyond the strategic reason and understand what causes us to behave in a certain way in real time. And the way to critically think about geopolitics or even leaders is, they say that don't follow what they say but see what they do, right? So I think judge their actions. So do that critical analysis. China meanwhile appears paralyzed. I don't personally agree with this, but it could be something else. Let's see. A part of this may be quiet satisfaction at watching the US inflict another wound upon itself, but more likely it reflects a deeper limitation. For all its power in a bilateral contest with the US, China still cannot lead an international coalition for peace or against atrocity. I agree with this point, that China is unable to create an international coalition. Okay, I think because of several reasons, and we can get into that. Uh, but this is another thing that I was reminded of, Shabir, is from Machiavelli. And Machiavelli says, and I watched this in a show on the war recently. Machiavelli said that if your opponent is committing suicide, you don't have to commit murder. You don't have to commit murder. You don't have to go and kill the person who is committing a suicide. So let the person commit suicide. I feel like China and Russia are doing a little bit of that, sort of watching the thing unfold. So I had a I had a issue with the word paralyzed. I don't. Yes, he uses appears paralyzed, but I would have written it differently. But that's okay. That's just subjective opinion.
Something like strategic inaction. If have to phrase it.
There you go. I think you are informed, Shabir. Let me write that. Strategic inaction. Okay.
Okay. Strategic.
Okay, all right. So I think, guys, I okay, completely unrelated, but
Deb, can you hear us?
they could woo way. Can you hear me?
We lost you for a few seconds.
Okay, no, I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was relating Wu Wei completely different, but Wu Wei is when you do nothing but do a lot in by doing nothing, right? So I think look that up. It will elevate your writing if you know Wu Wei. The easiest adaptive preference becomes the same refrain. Frankly, here I don't give a damn. Wonderful, wonderful in the way that he is building.
Sir, your voice is lagging.
Yeah, Akash, can you hear me now? Is it still bad?
Yes, sir. Now here.
Okay.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay, great. So again, he comes back to the same refrain. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And what is he doing with this statement? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. He is talking about moral depravity of various players in the stage, in the theater right now, right? He
I
talked
think the
about-
right time to link this to his thesis statement.
Yeah, exactly.
Thesis जो बताए थे, okay, the first paragraph,
Yeah,
I think it says, no, it talks about the utter global moral void of this moment. Okay, we are so morally corrupted, we don't give a damn. जो करना है करे, जो करना है करे. And that thing is echoing across his columns. Okay, frankly, dear, I don't give a damn. Yeah.
yeah, and I think this is sort of telling you that he's coming to the end of his writing. He's slowly kind of building his case. He's gone about his thing very smartly, and now he's kind of starting to close. In the US, there is a resistance within the Democratic Party, but it takes the easy refuge of procedural virtue and debates over Congress war powers. Perhaps the young have been chastened by the repressive powers of the state we saw deployed against protests last year. We have all devised new strategies for moral evasion. Another point he makes is, okay, some people in US are saying this is bad, but the way they are evading the moral responsibility is just going through procedure and not rising up and doing something different that it calls for. And there have been several calls for impeachment, 25th Amendment, a lot of things against President Trump, but nothing has happened because people, their response, frankly, people are talking, but they're not doing anything, right? Real obscenity of this moment is not simply the war itself, it is the normalization of a world in which war has become performance. So it is not the war, it is not the violence that is the bigger problem. The bigger problem is the trivialization or normalization of the performance. If great powers have chosen nihilism, rest of the world still has a choice. The task now is not to take sides. Now he's getting into call to action, right? Way forward, flip firm forward. He tried to give you a little bit of a counterpoint saying, okay, there is some good people and they are trying to do something, but it's not sufficient. But he is clearly now getting to the call to action. Right? The task now is not to take sides in this theater of destruction, but to refuse the premise that the will to violence must dictate the terms of politics. What is required is states willing to say that aimless wars waged as spectacle fought to test technologies will not be legitimized by silence. Or else the chorus of this dying civilization will be, frankly, my dear, we did not give a damn. So that's how he concludes it. So basically, the thread that ties all the argument is this phrase, frankly, my dear, we did not give a damn. And I think you saw some really powerful writing at display here. From step to step, how he was connecting the dots and making sure he makes a point. I think he touched all the players, right? He's touched Israel, he touched US, touched Iran, he touched, China, India. He touched the Democrats in the US trying to do something.
GCC countries, yeah.
GCC, yeah. So if we have 2 more minutes, let us just apply the Socratic principle and see if we actually analyze this properly or not. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we did a lot of monologue, Shabbir and I, Kaushik, Akash, Amit, Kevin, Ashish, all of you now have to say something. Okay, let's start. So what is the author's claim and thesis? Do you think that was clear from this point of view? And what did you think the thesis was in this case?
Yes, sir. This is clear, and it is about moral evasion of leaders around the world.
Yeah, absolutely, Akash, perfect. Moral evasion of leaders and powers, right? So that's very clear. Has the author clarified the definition? Did you feel that the idea of performance or spectacle, what is moral evasion, these things that the author has clearly described?
No, sir. I think not described clearly.
Which one did you think he didn't describe, Akash? The spectacle or the moral evasion or
Spectacle.
spectacle? Okay, I think he is, explicitly hasn't probably said it, right? I think that's why you were saying why he did not say it. It is not explicit, but I think
You using the military might and all explain the spectacle, isn't it?
yeah, I think he hasn't explicitly said it, but he is probably assuming that the author understands that it is. I think this is the point where he did some of it, right? If it has purpose, it is.
I think where he's coming from is what's happening is in some of this essay writing
Yeah.
that is taught, students are encouraged to take up the keyword and explain it separately.
Right.
Right. So in this essay, for example, an important keyword was spectacle, an important keyword was strategic. And
Yeah.
then अलग से एक paragraph लिखो, what is strategic?
Right.
Like happiness is sex. So let's write a paragraph on happiness. So what happens is, while this is one's way of writing, but lot of writers, I mean, if they can control the narratives well, they don't need to define it. The definition is already within the writer. There's a
Correct.
definition. We're talking about whether that concept is understood or not defining it, literally sense में with a dedicated paragraph, if that's what you're looking for. Okay, so for example, this use of ideological vanguard, this also is one way of spectacle. That I am the leader of, I'm representing the entire community. Okay, the whole idea of that it is a spectacle, I don't give a damn. वो भी part of spectacle ही है. Because I think you're coming from that idea, probably. No, not wrong. You have a point there. But sometimes it's not required to have a dedicated paragraph to explain one concept.
Yeah. I'm glad you identified that, Shabir, because you might identify like 6 keywords from a topic. You don't have to have 6 paragraphs defining 6 of those. So, but I think he makes some mention. So we'll give him some points, and I think he the also he doesn't have the luxury of 1200 words here, which you have, right? So. But if you were writing an essay, I would, maybe you need not explain strategic, but if there is a element of doubt, you feel like this keyword needs some attention,
Do
definitely
it.
today. Yeah. Okay. Did you find it logical, his flow? He talked about the thesis, then he talked about how it's a performance. Then he's saying you're asking the wrong questions. He goes towards the American and Israeli perspective, then comes to Iran and GCC countries, and so on. So, India, China, what did you feel about the flow? YouTube, what you've been quiet. Tell me what.
Yes, sir. This is argument is logical.
Yes, Akash. Good. Yeah, that's what I felt too. I think there is a certain flow. Let's see if others have any perspective. Kaushik, what did you think?
So I think it is logical, sir. He explained every aspect of the discussion, and flow is also
Okay,
logical.
good. Okay, all right. Has the author made some assumption? Did you feel like he has assumed certain things that um, he came out like, okay, you might have a different perspective, and he's um, not gone into details of that. I think this is, to me, Shabbir, this is the critical piece, assumptions, because
I feel, yeah, please go on.
I was saying that if you can identify the assumption someone is taking in an argument, then you can form a clear understanding of whether this person is glossing over some details or actually described it in depth.
So I did feel that he has made some assumptions.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think, I mean, while we may say that okay, this article is written from a neutral perspective, but there is a strong, tilt that looks like he's, blaming it on the powers. The assumption, for example, the entire war um, is about projecting power. Okay, अभी जो statement के लिए, I mean, while we may agree with it, but there is no argument that establishes it. There is no. I mean, if I read this article, nothing else. If I leave the context out, so think of an alien who comes back, or somebody who comes back to the world after living in a moon for maybe 10, 15, 20 years, और ये article पढ़ रहा है.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for him to be very sure whether what he's writing is right or not. But then I'll give him the benefit of doubt, because ultimately an article hai. The article can't be a research document with everything around him. Okay. But yes, he has made certain, certain assumptions where, for example, you got that point that China is paralyzed, seemingly paralyzed.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an assumption. And that the assumption to have the youth of US are not, responding the way they should because of what they witnessed happened to them last year. Okay, in the protest. So there is some amount of assumptions where he has taken a position already. Okay, but like I said, you can't have an article that has every point clearly mentioned. Ultimately, article is his opinion. So
Sir,
I
I think
can
he's
notice that. Yeah.
sir, sorry to interrupt, sir. I think he's trying to make everyone responsible there. That can be an exemption, right, sir?
Assuming that everybody is responsible. Is that the
Yes.
point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have a point. Yes. Okay. The point is he's making assumption, but whether he's substantiating that or not is a matter of degrees. So my reading is he has made assumptions. He is assuming that we probably will side with him. Like this article read by a guy who is pro-US and pro-Israel, he will have a lot of holes to punch in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
your
yeah, or a pro-Iran. So I think I felt also same way. I felt like he has made several assumptions. Let me point them out. The first one is that it is just a show of power. I think it is just see, what is an assumption? Assumption is an unsubstantiated claim, right? It is assuming that is true, and I think there have been several perspectives that there is a specific agenda Israel has for this war. So I think he has not delved into that. That's an assumption. There might be other assumptions, as you said, in the youth of US, and painting everyone in the same sort of broad brushstroke that GCC countries. He's gone on a rant, I feel, right? Yes, he's largely largely doing the right thing, but I think so. Who's standing steadfast here? Is there some elements of positivity here? Is there? I think if you would have taken some examples like we talked about Spain or Italy, for example, I think we may have gotten better output. The other thing is he talked about India's silence. There are several countries that are silent. Okay, so what is it that is prompting the silence? So he has a perspective that it is perhaps India's embrace of Netanyahu or India's tongue-tied silence has anything to do with the protecting the Indian diaspora and the Gulf. No, I don't know whether there might be other things. So there is a element of doubt I had.
Actually, I did not know. I mean, I've not heard that India signed because it's protecting the Indian diaspora in Gulf. Okay, this is a completely a new argument. I've not heard about this anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you were concerned about the diaspora, you would have been more
evacuate.
forthright, right? Yeah, Kaushik, you had a point.
Sir, I think he didn't explain American insecurities also, sir. Actually, the whole thing is he's trying to, he's taking it as an opportunity to expose itself as a world leader. We discuss about multipolar world, but he's teasing India and all. Means there is certain kind of insecurity in America also. So it's not about showing the power itself. There is so you want to establish America as a global leader, and Trump political motive is also is trying to show Americans that America is great again. So it is everything. So it has its motives.
That's also a pause. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
You have a
agree.
point. You have a point.
So this
Yeah.
spectacle thing is somewhat, assumptive, right? That the war is just being waged as a spectacle. It is more than that. So I think he's not gone to the details of what are the root causes of the war. So that's assumption. So as you saw, right, there are several things that can be wrong also, um, with a extremely good editorial piece, right? So this is what should encourage you to do the critical thinking in this way. See, Socrates actually helped us identify the weaknesses in this writing. So remember that and do that. So objectivity and neutrality, I think it is sort of neutral, I would say, Shabir, but it could have done better in terms of being objective. I felt like, yes, I mean, he has a positive agenda in mind, right? He is batting for humanity, but I think there are some objective pieces missing in here.
Yeah, yeah, they. Yes, yes.
Neutrality, of course, is not a problem because he's just, scolding everybody, right? So,
He's, I mean, to be honest, Dave, he is not being neutral.
he's not being neutral.
And
Yeah,
in this issue, I think you cannot be neutral either.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
our issue is that maybe he could have been a bit more objective with
yeah,
some more concrete facts. Okay. He has used language very powerfully to drive home his point. You can prevail. Let's say when you're writing a persuasive essay. Okay, one way of making your argument persuasive is you give facts, data, you quote reports, you quote maybe some thinkers or some studies. Second is you can be persuasive with your language. आपका language इतना powerful है, how
yeah,
you spin it. Okay, so I think this article is a persuasive one, okay, with his language.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
why I'm saying he's not really neutral. Okay, and he's not even very objective either. But well said.
Yeah, yeah, and neutral in the sense that he's against everybody, right? So, yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and then eventually, what is your overall evaluation if this were a 1200 word essay and you had to give him 125, something out of 125, how much would you give? Kaushik, Akash, just for kicks, tell us.
Imagine evaluating Balu Pratap Mehta. Wow. अपने आप में it is a nice temptation.
Yeah, yeah. So, see, I keep that at the end, and we are living in a culture that has to judge everything in 3 seconds, right? We see a reel and we have to instantly judge. And the problem with that is no critical thinking, right? No stepping back and really looking at it from multiple dimensions. So, I think
Something that
it's a
you
good
guys have to
step.
say. YouTube guys, you are very, very quiet. Abhishek, Amit, Kevin, MTA Bash, Ashish. आपको कुछ कहना है? Because see, ultimately, the beauty of these articles are the discussions that follow the reading. ये अभी जो चल रहा है ना, this is the best takeaway for you guys. Otherwise, तो हम बस अंग्रेजी पढ़ रहे हैं, it's literature.
Exactly.
What is your take? What is your take? I mean, otherwise, for a regular person, it's very convincing. Very convincing, very powerfully written. He already is an established thinker, he's a thought leader in some ways, but we're punching holes in some of his arguments. Okay, we may be wrong in some ways, but that ability is more important. So yeah, YouTube guys, you want to say something? What is your takeaway from this? What do you think?
65 Akash says, okay, good. Yeah, I think one of the things you must tell us is this kind of session interesting? Because I felt like there were so many concepts here that you could use in your sessions, that once in a while we should do this. We should, like we did reading books, reading articles and critically analyzing articles, we should do that once in a while. So we'll try to find, if we find something good, we'll bring it in. But I think everyone also likes the brainstorming that we do. Take a topic and write the dimensions. So we'll do that also. Shabbir, I'm thinking we haven't done an evaluation in quite a while, so we may do that next time. But yeah, I think it's sort of your participation that makes it what it is. Good. I think that's what I had, Shabbir. Akash, Ashik, any other points from you?
Sir, I wanted to thank you both, sir. Actually, if it is not for both of you, I won't be doing my preparation with right mindset. Uh, so after I had a couple of failures, but still I'm going good just because of both of you. I want to mention that. So if I don't know you, so if I don't know you people, I might be continuing my preparation, but not with right mindset, sir. It is just because of you too. I just want to
Bless
thank you
you.
both, sir.
Kaushik,
Thank you,
bless
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, my wishes to you. See, yeah, you're right. What happens is when you're preparing, somewhere in this grind of course, notes, running to classes, now we stop enjoying the process. We stop thinking. I mean, why we don't enjoy? Because we don't think anymore. We're just consuming, and in that I think fatigue kicks in. Okay, so if some of the sessions can help you sit back, and because ultimately you have a huge amount of content. Even a guy who is insincere with his preparation, they have a huge amount of content with them. Polity पढ़ लिया, economy पढ़ लिया, history पढ़ लिया, geography पढ़ लिया, current affairs देख लिया. Okay, so now if you can have an avenue where you can apply, think, you can relate, that kinds of gives you a purpose. So पढ़ाई क्या है, you can see it being utilized. So maybe Kaushik, that's what is happening with you. Okay, very happy that you have been supporting you that way. So please feel free to reach out. And essay to chal hi raha hai aapka. DebSir is there, okay, with you guys. But very happy to hear that. My wishes to you, Kaushik. Akash, you too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Kaushik is Mr. Consistent, Shabbir, on the Telegram channel. Every
Oh,
time, every assignment he does. And I think, Kaushik, I'm glad you feel that way. See, I'll tell you what happened with me, right? I did not give UPSC or, had it not been for my friendship with Shabbir, I would not have come into UPSC in the first place. But having come here, um, you know, opened my eyes in so many ways. When I do take mock tests, mock interviews, when I talk to aspirants, I really have to know what's going on. And when you take an interest in the world around you, the world actually reveals its beauty, right, in so many different ways, right? So you start understanding the world in so many different dimensions. When we take a word or a phrase in an essay and try to describe it in 1200 words, it just fills you with so much interesting perspectives, and that I find very rewarding. So I always tell students that no matter whether you qualify or not, in the end you will become such a better version of yourself that this grind is absolutely worth it. You see, some people do the grind earlier in their life, some people do it later, but somebody who hasn't gone through the grind does not know how to live their life, right? They are just swimming on the surface, they have never dived deeper. So I'm glad you feel that way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So
my
more,
wishes, thanks.
I
Yeah.
think it is more than an essay session, sir. I would say we evolve as individuals
Yep.
by following that particular channel. So my consistency comes from there more than exam.
Very.
So I get to learn more, sir. The kind of content you share, I don't think if we are sitting somewhere ideally, we won't be exposed to that kind of material, that kind of. So whatever you studied for these many years, you're trying to give it without any expectation. So I think it leads a lot of passion.
Yes, I will show all of you this I shared. This is Francis Fukuyama's article on the world simply does not trust America. He creates another amazing point about trust in the world and what the deterioration of trust in the world and what America stood for earlier. And when you are talking about New World Order, definitely read it. I've already shared it on Telegram. There is so many good stuff out there, right? If we open our eyes and ears. So cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Shabbir, any last words?
No, you mentioned Francis Fukuyama. Okay, I mean, he wrote this book, The End of History, right? Okay,
Yeah.
End of History, where you guys must look up that. In the End of History says, with globalization, it is almost like the world has achieved the peak of democracy, the peak of development, human rights. The world has achieved the peak of the global cooperation. He says, "इसके आगे कुछ है ही नहीं बचा." Okay, it's a very powerful book, The End of History. And now he sees, wow, everything is going the other way around. So Fukuyama is much talked about because of that book of his. Okay, so look that up. It's a nice read. It's a nice read. Maybe we must
Lovely.
take it up, the End of
Yeah,
History.
so
Very
I
relevant
think
one.
we should do that. And I was doing a reel on something similar. See, there were two guys who wrote books in I'll take 30 seconds more. 1990s, I think. Fukuyama wrote this book on the end of history and the last man. And then,
Alvin Toffler.
no, Sam Huntington, he wrote about the clash
The
of
Clash of
civilization.
Civilization. Yeah.
Completely polar opposite points of views. Right? So one guy is saying that, okay, we have reached our zenith. This is the nirvana. The other guy is saying, wait, wait, wait. There is major clashes coming down the pipe. And I don't know, like when you look at.
But difference, Fukuyama wrote before 9/11.
Yeah. No,
And
Huntington also
Huntington
wrote.
wrote
He wrote it before
Oh,
9.
he became popular after 9/11.
Correct, correct,
Okay, he
correct.
was talked
Huntington
about.
wrote it, I think, 3-4 years after Fukuyama.
And इसी breath में we also must talk about Alvin Toffler and third wave.
Yeah, yeah.
These were those powerful writings that and they're relevant today. I tell you, the third
Yes.
wave is maybe this is a cue for us. I want to go back and read those books again. Okay, भूल चुका हूँ actually, to be very honest.
Yeah, Future Shock, Third Wave,
Future
I
Shock,
think
yes.
those two books I
Alvin
remember.
Toffler, yeah.
The Clash of Civilization, Sam Huntington, is very dark, but it's very, it's a unique perspective. You may disagree completely with it, but he says he divides the world into 7 broad civilizations, right? The West, India, Latin America, the Islamic, Middle East, China, Japan, and Russian, right? So something like that. I think he has 9, and he says all of the power struggle and the conflicts will be based on these civilizational fault lines. People
It was called as racism.
racism.
It was
Yes,
dismissed as racist.
yes, and there's been huge criticism of the book, and I think this is why we must read these books without any prejudice and then form the opinion and not read summaries, because as you saw, somebody as open-minded, and I have been reading Pratap Bhanu Mehta's work for a long time. I do consider him a lot open-minded, but you saw that even in his writing there are elements of non-neutral. So yeah, good discussion. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks
sir. Thank
all
you,
of
sir.
you. Thank you so much. Bye bye all of you.
Take care, bye, see you next week.